initially a in-game text messaging client that has a huge library of games under its supporting belt. And maybe last year or so, it got the ability to record video. Now for us, we have it set as 25 frames, which is the lowest it'll go. You can go all the way up to 100 frames per second, and we do have audio from our microphone. You can also have from the mixer itself. Now, it has a thing called flashback, so what happens is if you do something in game and you'd want to record it, but you're not recording initially, you can enable flashback, and it'll basically keep a pre-record of what you're doing in game. So when you hit that record button, it'll automatically start capturing like a couple seconds in advance, so you can capture whatever you wanted to capture but didn't have the opportunity to. Now the problem with Xfire, though, with its recording, since it records directly what's in the game, it does not excuse me, it does not reduce the quality of the video. So what the problem is, it creates really high file sizes. And if you have a really big hard drive, that's not a problem, but others, it could be. Because let's take a look at one of the videos that I have. Most of our videos, if they're a normal 10-minute video, are 3 to 4 gigabytes. They're massive. So that's a pretty big thing, and that's on half-size recording. So if imagine full size, it's about 10 gigabytes of video. What else? The problem with Xfire also is that it's really resource intensive, so it's going to make your game slow down, even if it's as good of a computer as mine, like with the quad-core processor, 3 gigabytes of RAM, really high-end graphics card, that kind of stuff. It still will lag the game a little bit, and it will probably mess up your shots if you're recording first-person shooter games or whatnot. But yeah, this is the program we use for our live commentaries and one-take commentaries. WeGame is what we use for our post commentaries. Now that that's out of the way, editing. You can use Camtasia Studio to edit your emulated game videos, and that's the only program that'll work with the Camtasia Studio Recorder. Now then, you have a media bin, and we will just put that in there. Okay, and when you put the video from the media bin into the timeline, you'll get a choice of what size do you want the video to be. I would recommend using the recording dimensions, because that'll give you the best quality. It's not going to resize it or give you the black boxes that makes it look really ugly. Now, Camtasia Studio is really good for basic edit, and I mean really basic editing, like adding titles, transitions, and that's about it. Clip speed. Sony Vegas, I must admit, is not that good at slowing down sound. It is very terrible at slowing down sound, and it actually makes it really echoey and very distorted. However, if we do 50% clip speed in Camtasia, and it only shows up in the Final Cut, so let me reduce that down to 10 seconds, and clip speed will be at 50%, and we will produce and share, custom production settings, and I'll get into this later. But what it will do. Oh crap! I don't want help. Go away, help. Don't need help. I know what I'm doing. Okay, and we'll leave it as untitled, and it'll just render it quickly. And it's pretty straightforward. It'll give you this little progress bar of what percent it's done. It's pretty easy to figure out. And we will go into computer, that finals untitled, and just wait. There we go. Finish. And now, if we look at this video, it'll make it. So yeah, that is what it will sound like. It does a really good job of slowing down um, anything in the video. It does really well at slowing down the audio. Now, Sony Vegas, as I said, it distorts the audio when it slows it down. So this is what I would use personally for if you're making a montage of like sniper clips or throwing knife kills that you slow things down with, and you have the audio from the game. Use Camtasia Studio for that, and then export it to Sony Vegas for like the really high-end special effects like color alteration, lens flares, those kinds of things. Now, if we were to, I will show you how to produce, and we will click Produce and Share, Custom Production Settings, because that's what we want. We want to keep the frame size the same as we did at the beginning of the project. Now, from all these choices, you can choose a lot of things, and it even has a thing of help to choose how to choose a file format. I would personally choose and recommend using the Flash, like it says in the program. MP4 is a low file size, high quality compression, and it works really well for uploading to YouTube. It's a universal format. Now, when you get Flash templates, it comes with legacy SWF or Flash video form output. We don't want that. We want no controls, and by default, it'll be on SWF. But we don't want that either. We want MP4. MP4 will play on computers, and it will also play on. It'll upload to YouTube properly. You don't have to worry about multiple file output or audio or anything like that, so just leave that alone. And when we click next, you can include a watermark, which is just an image that you put on top in the corners or wherever the hell you want to put it. And we click next, and since we clicked on the tab of multiple file output, we can actually choose which parts of the video to render and all that kind of stuff. But we're not that usually if you don't touch that tab, you won't have to do it. And then give it a name and a destination folder, and there you go. Click finish, and that will render your video. Now, if you happen to use Sony Vegas, things get a lot more, a lot of doors open, if you will. You get more customizability and a lot more, even though it's not user friendly or as user friendly as Camtasia Studio, it's the standard for video editing in the video editing industry. Now, I will show you a quick clip of the last video, actually what you saw on Friday, and this is what it looks like in Sony Vegas. Oh, let's do this. Okay. Oh, I have to minimize all of these tracks because then you can see the preview pane properly. Okay. Now with this preview pane, this is what it looks like with the time. Watch the timeline at the bottom. I have 8 tracks for all the stuff that goes on in this video. Hey guys, this is GameFree5264 from Too Much Free Time Productions. I had to cut parts of this video out. It's just so yeah, you get the idea. It has all these tracks make it possible to highly customize everything that goes on in the video. Now you have two different types of tracks. You have audio tracks and video tracks, and those are obvious as what they do. And the video tracks includes the actual video itself, as well as text media and the like. Now, unfortunately, Sony Vegas does not come with a watermark feature, but if you put your watermark on the very top level, or level 1, or track 1, if you will, and you zoom and pan and zoom all the way out, and then you move the thing around to show where you want it to be, it'll put the watermark where you want it, and it'll look as you want it. Opacity, stuff like that. Video clips, as with Camtasia, there's a media bin up in the top left. Import your media, put it into the clip, the timeline. I would highly suggest putting it in different tracks. Everything except the video, put in different tracks so you can keep keep yourself organized in your project, because if you have a lot of stuff going on, it's going to be really hectic if you can't figure out what's doing what. And then, once, oh, before that, post commentary. I've not done it in Camtasia Studio, but there's a voiceover function that you can use. In Sony Vegas, it's a bit different, and that we have to insert a new audio track and arm for recording, and that's pressing a big target-looking button on the new track. And then at the bottom of the timeline, there's a record button. And when we do that, we actually can record our voiceover over the audio. Now you can adjust the volume and the panning depending on what you like. I would recommend reducing the game audio if you have game audio to a lower amount than your voiceover. Otherwise, they won't be able to hear you. But that's pretty. It's pretty simple. And when you're done recording, it'll say, okay, audio recordings in track 9 out of how many, and then okay or whatever, and then we just edit it or make more, do whatever. It doesn't matter. Um, Adding transitions is also pretty straightforward. You when you have your transitions, ooh, but just add them onto the video clip so you can have blurs and uh, noise, background noise, uh, which it can give you a pretty good effect depending on what you're doing. Like if you're making an old time movie kind of style kind of thing, that'll work pretty well. For rendering, we want to click the render as button, and what we'll do now is it'll open up your if you've never used it before, it'll open up the default folder for Sony Vegas, but you probably want to change that depending on what your preferences are. And you want save as type. It's going to be, what is it going to be by default? I forget what it's going to be by default, but we want it to be main concept avc slash avc.mp4. Then we're going to see template. There's going to be default template and then Apple iPods. I made the one YouTube HD, so I'll show you how to make that. And I got this from Broad Productions. Or channel link will be in the description if you want to take a more look at Sony Vegas editing and stuff like that, more advanced stuff. And if we go to default template, and we have default template, and we click custom, what we're going to do is we will rename this as tutorial, and you can name it whatever you want. I'd recommend labeling it YouTube HD since it's going to be 720p as your output. And we want custom frame size 1280 by 720. Do not allow the source to adjust the frame size. Keep it baseline. We don't want main, we want baseline. And it'll take out the non-progressive scan, it'll gray it out, and we want the pixel aspect ratio to remain at 1. We don't want it stretched or anything like that. We want variable bitrate with 2 pass, and we want 4 million maximum and an average of 2 million. Now what that will do is it'll make it really high quality but really low file size. And for audio we want 48,000, and the bitrate can stay at 128,000, and by sample rate rather is for the audio. Project, we don't want to use project settings, we want to use best. Now you just save that as you want, and we'll click cancel, but because I already have one. But when you have it, when you're done, you click save and it'll render it in its entirety, and then you can just upload it to YouTube. So that is how you make and render your videos after you've recorded them from your consoles, your PC, or your emulator. If there's anything you guys don't understand, or if there's anything that you think I should mention or forgot or whatever, feel free to post a comment saying, oh, you should have added this or whatever, and I'll be sure to respond. So yeah, this is GameFreak5264 signing out.